Hey everybody, Cameron here. Welcome to this video number 2 for Rise to Mastery podcast. This recap video, I'm going to be talking about second episode, how a 20-something makes over $1 million in 1 year. And that 20-something is me. So this podcast is all about me. You're welcome. The podcast was great. It was Kenny interviewing me, so you can get to know me a little bit more. So you can kind of know exactly, my experiences, the things that I've done, the people that I've worked with, and that's it. We want to be able to connect more with you, the audience. That's why we're doing this podcast. That's why we are doing these videos and things like that. So it was really important for us, for everybody to kind of get to know Kenny and I. So the episode number 3 is actually Kenny doing the recording, it's actually me interviewing Kenny. So you can be sure to check that out as well. But this podcast was all about how I built my business, and really I want to talk about how I'm going to be taking kind of the next step in my business, and that is making $1 million in the next year. And I'm going to be doing that. I have my own consulting business. I have coaching and training that we do with people, but it's really just going to be focused on the internet side of it, right? How I'm making $1 million over the next year from the internet, essentially. And that's what the podcast was about. The strategies that I'm going to be doing to actually try to do that. I have not made $1 million a year yet. I've done pretty well so far, but I would like to make $1 million in the next 12 months just from the online things that I do, just from things like this podcast, from the coaching, from the speaking, and bringing it all out and showing you exactly how I do it, because I think anybody can do it. If it's $100,000, I could do that in a month. For sure. I've done that before. And I don't think that there's any reason why everybody shouldn't be able to do that. So that's really the thing that we talked about a lot over this particular podcast. We talked a lot about how I actually built my business in the beginning, and some of the early challenges that I had, like feeling like I was too young. We talked a lot about how I kind of came over some of that stuff, and how I started to build my consulting business, and then started going into helping entrepreneurs. I do all sorts of crazy stuff that I probably never even thought possible 5 years ago, or 6 years, however long ago, when I was in college. And so yeah, it was just all about me. So I like it. And you can check it out there. Some of the really interesting things that we talked about is kind of how I've always been an entrepreneur, how I always wanted to kind of be this business mogul, if you will. I was younger, I never really wanted to play sports professionally. I played football and stuff like that in high school, but I never wanted to be Michael Jordan. I always wanted to own the Chicago Bulls, and you can talk to Gina about that. That's mommy in the vernacular. And she'll probably co-sign on that. It's just the way that I've always been. So we talk a lot about that and how I've always wanted to be an entrepreneur and be wildly successful. And I just kind of found that a great way that got me started with that was just helping other people like you and helping others. It's not easy doing this entrepreneurial thing, but when you have something to model, when you have some specific strategies that you can start to implement and just see, if they work for you, it definitely makes it a lot easier. So we talked about all sorts of great stuff, and at the end we really kind of got into this tangent, or this kind of rabbit hole, if you will, about entrepreneurship and starting your own business and stuff like that, which Kenny and I often do. We spend a lot of time talking to each other just outside of the podcast. We do this every single day, but if you just think about all the things that we do together, as far as our businesses together, the people that we help together, the clients that we work with together, it's a lot of time where just me and Kenny just hanging out. And so kind of at the end, instead of staying on track like we should, we kind of deviated and went down this rabbit hole of all the different things that we think. And specifically, I know at the end we focused on starting this business and the things that you should be doing and the things that you should be modeling, and how we think it's so important to keep it simple. Just KISS, right? Keep it simple, stupid. And one thing that I talked about that was really that was really kind of awesome, if I do say so myself. And that was this idea of, modeling. And when you model something in a successful business especially, how to do it the right way, because so often we see clients and we see people who want to become entrepreneurs go into modeling and say, well, Google's really successful, so clearly when I start my business, I need to start, using nap pods, right? Or, Steve Jobs was super successful for his tech company, so I got to be a jerk to all my employees because that's the way Steve Jobs did it. Or they want to do something like health and fitness, and they say, well, that person has a really great body, so I need to follow the same exact diet that he's doing, and I need to eat the same exact foods that she's eating, and I need to do the same exact workout every single day to be where they are. But you're 400 pounds overweight, or you have a tech company and you're an introvert and you really are not a mean person. Not that Steve Jobs was mean or anything, but it just may not be in your personality. So we really start to focus in, and I make the point of, lots of people, when they start out to do something, they say, I want to model that person because they're wildly successful, which is a great plan. But when they go about modeling them, they say, I'm going to start doing that just like that right away. And that to me is kind of silly. You need it, like I said earlier, you need to keep it simple, stupid. Just do something to start getting on the right path to success. Get something that is going to set you on the path of mastery, right? You don't have to implement the same exact diet that the bikini models on the cover of magazines are doing, right? Especially if you're hugely overweight. Maybe you just start taking a walk every single day. And that's that simple. I'll give you an example. Lots of people, they may be seeing this podcast, and maybe you're watching this podcast and it's been up for a year or 2 years or whatever it is, a couple months, and you're just coming back and you're watching some of the videos that we have, and you're looking at this video and you're like, hey, well, I can start a podcast. I have a good friend, and we both like sports, for example, and we can just start a show just like Cameron and Kenny, and we can just rock and roll at it, and it'll be awesome. Listen, by all means, you got it. Go do it. Do a great job at it. You can just steal as much stuff from us as you want to. But just because you steal and you try to model after us doesn't mean it's going to have the same effect. Kenny and I have been working together for years. We have literally spent hundreds of thousands of hours doing trainings together. We've spent hundreds and thousands of hours shooting videos together. We've spent hundreds and thousands of hours probably just talking on Skype, just the two of us, about business, about the things that we think, about crazy stuff that can't even make it onto a podcast. And that's what you see here with this podcast that we're doing together. That is a direct reflection of all the time we spent together before. And we kind of got, like I said, we kind of got into that little tangent at the end, but I just thought that was something that's really important. So you can check that out. You can check out how I'm going to be earning $1 million this year, and you can follow along as well. All you have to do is click the video below. You can listen to the podcast there. Visit our website, rise2mastery.com. Check out all of our podcast episodes from there. It's a great way to get started on your path to success as well. Be sure to rate and subscribe to our podcast, and I don't know if you can rate and subscribe to YouTube videos, but do that as well. You can see the sun is setting right there. So probably time for me to go do something else more productive. Not probably not more productive, but go do something else. All right. So that's going to do it for me. Cameron here. Thanks for watching. If you have any questions, let us know. You can, put your comments below on the YouTube video, but let me know what you think. Let me know what you think about the podcast. Let me know what you think about, the idea of modeling those successful. All right. And I will see you in the next video.